And I'd be remiss if I did not talk about this very early in the show, because I think it is very important to the world that we cover. And we normally stay out of the real world stuff, mostly because there is no reason for anybody to think that their opinion should be swayed by us when it comes to real world stuff, okay? There is zero reason anybody in their lives should think, oh, who should I vote for? I'm gonna go listen to Pat McAfee, the Toxic Table, the Hammer Down Boys, and we very much understand that. Like, it isn't like, I don't feel like any of us feel slighted from the fact that people probably don't want to listen to us give our opinions on real world shit. It is not why anybody would listen to this show. It's not what we're good at. I'm not comfortable enough speaking about a lot of the real world shit because I got my blinders on in the football world that I'm in. It's just the way it goes. But when it moves itself into our world, especially in the fashion that it did at an executive level and a head coach level, we have to talk about it because this is a real world thing that has now come into the NFL. And one of the most famous coaches in our league had to resigned out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. I mean, there was a conversation about the first batch of emails that got leaked, and I might have, and this all coming from the Bruce Allen and that whole thing, another 650,000 emails are going through in the Bruce Allen investigation from the Washington football team to see if there was any malpractice or what was going on. And we learned about Jon Gruden's emails. Now, this thing, I'm going to talk about Jon Gruden being an obviously very hateful man who probably doesn't have any friends in any of the communities that he, I guess, unknowingly offended completely. And when it used in everyday conversation and casual throwing it around, we're at a point where I think enough of us know, enough of the people that are represented in all the communities, that we can evolve into people that don't have to use words that necessarily make somebody feel terrible about themselves. Okay, and this is not me grandstanding. This is me as a human who has also learned and evolved from meeting people and learning about people and wanting to be somebody that makes people feel good whenever they chat with me as opposed to bad, and asking questions to people like, hey, why is it? And then you hear a story like, well, I was actually called that before I came out, and people used to say it to me and torment me, and I would go home and think about killing myself and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, all right. Even if one person, or in this case, millions of people feel that way, I think it's, in my life, I've always been like, I'm just not going to use words that potentially can make somebody feel that way because I don't want to be associated with somebody feeling that way. So although Jon Gruden can say it was in a private conversation, and listen, there is an incredible blurred line now on what is allowed to be known about people, what isn't allowed to be known about people, what should come out, what shouldn't come out. This being leaked and nothing else from Bruce Allen's email thing, which I would assume if Jon Gruden was comfortable enough to send those emails to Bruce Allen, he's probably not the only one. I would assume he's not the only one that is that comfortable in those conversations. But with that being said, you can't just plead ignorance. You can't say I didn't mean to hurt anyone, because it's very evident that if you're willing to put it on record and type it down, you probably use it in every day, and you have no idea what family members that you haven't got to know well enough are potentially feeling as if they want to kill themselves at night because you're saying these words around somebody that you might not know well enough, or maybe haven't even tried to invest in their lives to learn. So I just think it's an evolution. We're always going to have hateful assholes. This is going to happen. I hate that it's going to happen, but the reality is this is always going to happen. There's going to be people that have never met somebody who's openly gay. They've never met a transsexual, never met. By the way, there might be some white people that have zero friends that are of color, have never hung out with them ever in their entire lives, never crossed paths because they have kept themselves isolated in their own world. I'm not saying that's what Jon Gruden did, because I don't know how Jon Gruden could have felt this way after being in an NFL locker room, which has so many different backgrounds and diversity and so many people. I don't know how you could continue to do that unless you were just so self-immersed that you didn't know it. So I'm just saying, I think what he said was absolutely terrible. I think the backlash is deserved, and I don't think the NFL should be associated necessarily with just all the terrible things that steal all the headlines, because there's a lot of great motherfucking people in there as well. And I think as the years go on, and as the hopefully we become and pioneer this road to a tolerant society of understanding. As we continue to do that, we're going to continue to learn about people that aren't necessarily on the same ideals of the future, and we can't let them bring out the worst in everybody. Because I think there was some political affiliation in some of these emails as well. So that means in the world that we live in, if they share the same political belief, no matter what they say, I have to be on their side because that's war or whatever. I think we can all agree that we're in this motherfucker together, okay? You might not understand other people. You might not know why other things happen, but we should at least try to do shit that doesn't make other people's lives miserable. And I think that is kind of why and how we are where we are right now.
Yep.
There is something happening in the NFL right now that is obviously massive in the real world, not just in the NFL. And I think somebody who's been around the NFL as long as you, just like I had this thought in AJ, the NFL locker room is such a beautiful place because it's such a collection of backgrounds and people that are vastly different from maybe you are. So the things that were being said by Gruden in those emails makes no sense to me for the culture that is the NFL. Do you have any thoughts on that whole situation and how we go forward, anything like that, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to come out. The truth is going to come out. That's one thing for sure. I think we have to leave space for people to grow and change and better themselves. But I think there are opinions that just don't belong in the game. And I can say with real honesty and pride that I don't feel like those are opinions that are shared by players. I feel like in the locker room it's a close-knit group of guys, and we don't treat people differently based on the way that they talk, where they're from, what they're into, what they look like, and I'm proud of that. I feel like that's the most important thing to being leaders, to being connected as a team is respect and love and connection and really seeing people. And I know that there's probably opinions similar to that, but I feel like they're few and far between. I really do. I feel like the player and the coach of today is a more empathetic, advanced, progressive, loving, connected type of person. And I'm proud of the locker room that we have and the way that we talk, because people come from different backgrounds. They have different opinions about everything from politics to raising a family. And the locker room allows you the opportunity to have some incredible conversations and to see where people are coming from and to hear and listen and hear a new perspective. That to me is the best way to grow and to learn and to change and to better yourself. Is not to live in an echo chamber where you are constantly hearing the same stuff that re-emblazons your opinion. That confirmation bias that we know exists on social media that keeps feeding you the same type of content. I think we need to fight against that and to listen to opinions that might be different than tenets that we hold on to, and continue to grow and challenge our own belief systems, why we believe what we believe. Questioning things is the only way to grow. That's why I said at the end of last year, question everything. That's the way you grow, is by learning about why you believe what you believe and then testing the things that are important to you from a knowledge standpoint, from a personal standpoint, so you can better yourself, and learning about people who look different than you, who are from different places from you, who speak different from you, is the only way to truly understand. And when you understand people on a deeper level, then you can grow and change. And I think that's what we need to continue to promote in our league, is understanding and listening. I think that, like I said, we need to allow people to grow and change, but those opinions, don't have a place in the game. And, it was surprising to see that thing went so quickly.
Yes.
But I think that's that was probably the best decision for all parties involved, and hopefully we can all as a league learn and grow from this, and hopefully it puts people on notice who have some of those same opinions. Like, hey man, it's time to grow and evolve and change and connect, and that shit doesn't fly.
And learn about people. You know, hell yeah. Basically what you just talked about is learning about people that aren't like you. It's a huge deal. It helps out with empathy. I hope we continue to do that. Speaking of learning and becoming a better person, there is one. We appreciate you speaking on that, by the way, Aaron. That was awesome. That was really cool. You could have dodged it. Obviously, you chose not to. It's very nice of you, the MVP of the league, a great representative of the league.